Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. I think I speak for probably most Republican voters when I share this sentiment, this distrust and disappointment. The core sentiment, I think what most people are thinking is, just do something, Play the damn game. Democrats are willing to do whatever to remain in power. They're willing to do whatever to destroy their political adversaries. And Republicans can't even do the basic, the bare minimum, when it comes to defending the inevitable nominee representing the GOP in the presidential election and the previous president of the United States. Well, it seems like maybe your voice is being heard. Maybe. I'm not willing to give full credit until I see where it's leading. Like I always say, it's possibly just a symbolic gesture, but it seems as though to a certain extent, Republicans are maybe getting the message, as the Republican-led House Judiciary Committee has decided to launch an investigation targeting Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis in response to a ridiculous Donald Trump indictment. Let me update you guys on what's going on here. It's possibly a huge story, or it's pretty much a nothing burger and just a symbolic gesture. I guess we'll have to see, but I'll show you guys what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, take a look at this right over here. House Committee puts DA Willis on notice over her politically motivated Trump prosecution. The Republican-led House Judiciary Committee is pressing Democrat Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis to provide details regarding her prosecution of former President Donald Trump. Your indictment and prosecution implicate substantial federal interests, and the circumstances surrounding your actions raise serious concerns about whether they are politically motivated, says a letter sent to Willis by the committee. Let's take a look at the letter itself. On August 14th, 2023, you brought a 41-count indictment against 19 defendants, including a former president of the United States and current declared candidate for that office, his attorneys, a former White House chief of staff, and a former U.S. Department of Justice official related to the 2020 election for president of the United States. Among other things, you have alleged that these 19 individuals, 30 unindicted co-conspirators, and others were part of a criminal enterprise. And you have identified a number of acts that you claim were committed in the furtherance of this purported criminal enterprise, including 1, the then White House chief of staff asking a member of Congress for a phone number of the Speaker of the Pennsylvania House of Representatives, 2, the then president tweeting that hearings in the Georgia legislature were being aired on a news channel and commenting on those hearings, and 3, numerous acts taking place in other states not involving the conduct of the 2020 election in Georgia or the counting of votes cast in Georgia. Your indictment and prosecution implicate substantial federal interest, and the circumstances surrounding your actions raise serious concerns about whether they are politically motivated. Turning first to the question of motivation, it is noteworthy that just 4 days before this indictment, you launched a new campaign fundraising website that highlighted your investigation into President Trump. Additionally, the forewoman of the special grand jury that you convened to investigate President Trump earlier this year bragged during an unusual media tour about her excitement at the prospect of subpoenaing President Trump and getting him to swear in. Last week, the Fulton County Superior Court's clerk publicly released a list of criminal charges against President Trump, reportedly hours before the actual vote of the grand jury. A Fulton County court has disqualified you from targeting current Georgia Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones as part of your probe on the grounds that you actively supported and held fundraising events for his Democrat opponent. And unlike officials in other jurisdictions, Fulton County officials have suggested they will process the former president as a typical criminal defendant, requiring mugshots and possibly even a cash bond. It goes on, and I guess the TLDR of the letter is questioning 2 things: whether the charges themselves, the entire indictment, is politically motivated, and more importantly, whether it was coordinated with the DNC and the current Democrat White House. That being the 4th question in the letter, there are questions about whether and how your office coordinated with DOJ Special Counsel Jack Smith during the course of this investigation, and Congress has an interest in any such activity that involves federal law enforcement agencies and officials that fall under its oversight. News outlets have reported that your office and Mr. Smith interviewed many of the same witnesses and reviewed much of the same evidence in reaching your decision to indict President Trump. So they're now asking for documents. It seems like an investigation is being launched, and I'm just hoping that they flex every muscle that they possibly can, because at the end of the day, the word says it all: oversight. Congress has absolute federal oversight power. You can't just let something like this fly. The first question, whether the indictment is politically motivated, the answer is obviously yes. Fani Willis isn't just a district attorney. Fani Willis is a Democrat politician district attorney who campaigns as a Democrat and endorses Democrats. and she's now indicting the former president of the United States in the midst of an election cycle in a county that votes for Democrats at upwards of an 80% rate. Make it make sense, folks, because clearly it doesn't. But the more important question is, how is Joe Biden involved? Because we keep seeing just how deeply involved the current administration is in all of these investigations and indictments. Biden staffers quietly met with Jack Smith's aides shortly before Trump was indicted in classified documents case. The White House counsel's office met with a top aide to special counsel Jack Smith just weeks before he brought charges against former President Trump for allegedly mishandling classified documents, raising serious concerns about coordinated legal efforts aimed at President Biden's likely opponent in 2024. Jay Bratt, who joined the special counsel team in November 2022, shortly after it was formed, took a meeting in the White House on March 31st, 2023, with Caroline Saba, Deputy Chief of Staff for the White House's counsel office. White House visitor logs show. They were joined in the 10 a.m. meeting by Daniel Ray, an FBI agent in the Washington field office. 9 weeks later, Trump was indicted by Smith's office on June 8th, 2023. Now let's take that piece of information with a previous report from America First Legal, which states that Gary Stern, the National Archives General Counsel, confirmed in an email obtained by America First Legal that the Justice Department, via the Biden White House, had made these special access requests regarding the documents at President Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago. It seems like the federal government, it seems like Joe Biden's administration is actively working behind the scenes, behind all of these indictments and all of these investigations. Right ahead of the 2022 midterms, Joe Biden's White House was behind the special access request for Donald Trump's documents, which led to NARA going after those documents and inevitably raiding Donald Trump's home in the middle of an election season. Now we're learning that members of the White House counsel met with Jack Smith ahead of the actual indictment dropping based on visitor logs at the White House, and that there's a massive crossover in evidence and witnesses between the Georgia case and the Jack Smith case, and possible communications between both teams. Again, one common denominator: the Biden White House. Politically motivated witch hunt, perfectly timed, right ahead of a massive, consequential presidential election where Joe Biden's clearly a wounded animal, Joe Biden's clearly weak, and so they're doing everything, pulling every little dirty trick that they possibly can to imprison the former president of the United States, Joe Biden's clear contender headed into the next election cycle. Jim Jordan, leading this committee investigation, asks 3 specific questions. Was Fulton County DA Fani Willis working with Jack Smith? Was she communicating with the executive branch? And were any federal funds used in the investigation of President Trump? All legitimate questions, but at this point, screw the damn questions, because the facts here are obvious. Jim Jordan, Kevin McCarthy, every Republican-led committee needs to throw a wrench in these indictments. They simply make no sense. There is no logical explanation, there is no defense that can possibly justify Democrat actors legally persecuting the Republican frontrunner in the middle of a presidential election. There is nothing to justify it. And clearly a Republican majority in the House can do something about it. We've heard legal theories that all they need is a basic majority in committee votes to grant President Trump immunity from these charges. Do it. They have clear oversight over the funding of these investigations. The Republican-led state Senate in Georgia has the ability and authority to not only defund District Attorney Fani Willis and her bogus investigation, but they could straight up impeach her, which absolutely should happen. Do it, because very clearly these cases are politically motivated, they are illegitimate. We're seeing rogue prosecutors pursue bogus charges, a freaking RICO charge, going after Trump's campaign as a criminal organization for tweeting, for watching TV, and for asking for a phone number. It's clear-cut election interference, and if Democrats are going to play these games, then Republicans should meet them essentially at their level. Just freaking do it. Use whatever power is at your disposal. It's now or never. If the Democrats can get away with this, then Lord knows what's coming next. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. You know that we'd love to have you here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.